We are now investigating this as an act of terrorism.
Sir, other suspects?
No, I'm not going to get into that today.
Are there other suspects currently under arrest?
There are no other suspects currently under arrest. It is possible there may be some in the future. We don't know.
Sir, could I ask about the digital information that we have found
Sorry?
the computers at Bahrain? Can you talk about that? Were they damaged? And also, potentially, for any investigator, how important is potentially information you can find on a hard drive, on a cell phone, in an investigation that now is focusing on terrorism?
Good question. Yes, some of the digital media was damaged, as I discussed before. And yes, that is, we are, as I said from day one, we are continuing to go down the path of what was the motivation for this attack, because that will tell us a lot. As important, if not more important, is are there others, and are they based in the U.S., are they outside the U.S.? We don't know the answers.
With so many
Do you
questions,
have any
why wasn't
indication
he
that
allowed
there
into the apartment? With so many questions still remaining, why
Well,
was
because last night, so we executed a search warrant on that apartment, and last night we turned that over back to the residents. Once the residents have the apartment and we're not in it anymore, we don't control it. We did leave a list of items seized that I know some people have, and they're asking, why do we give that? We have to give that out by law. We leave, anytime we execute a lawful search warrant, we have to leave for the residents a list that lists all the items seized during that search warrant.
With all the ammunition that they had on them, do you believe they were planning a second attack somewhere?
I don't want to speculate. It's certainly a possibility that we are looking at.
So you believe that this was... Where did they get their orders from? Or were they acting independently, just with the idea that they were doing this for ISIS?
That goes back to the direction question I took earlier. We do not know that, but we are looking very carefully into that.
Do you believe they gave them the rifles?
Do I believe travel was a big part of this?
The overseas travel that he did, a big part of this?
I don't know. He traveled overseas in 2013.
Any kind of money angle, where the money came from for this?
Remember, folks, we're in day 3. We're in day 3, and we're barely 2 full days into this. So we'll get there. We're not there yet. Remember, all these resources you see back here, that's why we're utilizing all of those in partnership to try to find every piece of evidence that's out there, from digital media, which should lead us, hopefully, to motivation, to connections, emails, anything like that, to human intelligence that may give us some. That's where we're going, but that takes time. That's not a 3-day process. Yes, ma'am.
Where were the cell phones that you found that they tried to destroy?
I was told they were in a nearby trash can. They were found by our investigators.
Is there any indication, someone asked if this, was there a secondary target? Do you believe that this may have not initially been a target? Have you moved forward on your thought process about this?
We don't know. And that's what we hope to build is a working theory, and then ultimately some sort of a design of what we believe they were going to do. But again, day 3, we just don't know.
December 7th is Monday. Do we have any
Pardon me?
reason to believe?
Does this seem to you the idea that this is a case of self-radicalization?
We don't know yet. It's certainly a possibility, but we do not know yet.
The ISIS propaganda videos, any indication that they were looking at that? There were some reports of that.
We are still exploiting the data. I've not seen it yet. We're still exploiting that, and that will take time. But I truly believe that's going to be the potential golden nuggets, but we just don't know yet.
December 7th is Monday. Do we have any information that there may have been something planned for that particular day, and for some reason it got moved up?
December 7th, you said?
Yes.
Yes, I don't know any reason it was on that day. Remember, there was a Christmas party that took place inside that room. So you had a lot of people, you had a lot of management, you had a lot of people and employees in that room at that point.
Dave, had Farouk been under preliminary investigation or the subject of preliminary look by any terrorism agencies like the FBI, JTTF, in connection with any prior cases? And if so, what was the result of that? Was he under active surveillance or not under surveillance?
He was not under active surveillance. I am not aware, and I do not believe there was any type of an investigation pending on him.
But did his name come up in connection with the preliminary probe? I'm thinking similar to the Boston bombing and in Tsarnaev.
Yes, and I don't have any information that indicates that, no.
About the press being inside the apartment today. There was a man there who became a law enforcement officer who took the landlord away and said he did not in fact have permission to let people enter the apartment. The apartment was reboarded up a short time ago. Do you have any concerns about that being entered, even though you're saying you're wrapped up there?
You're going to have to repeat that. I'm
Do you
sorry.
have any concerns about the press entering the townhome this morning, even though you're saying you had completed your investigation there?
Once we turn that location back over to the occupants of that residence, or once we board it up, anyone who goes in at that point, that's got nothing to do with us.
So you say this is an act of terrorism. Does this mean this is the first time, if you conclude that it's ISIS, this is the first time ISIS has attacked America?
I think you're taking a leap. We're not there. What I am confirming is that we are currently investigating this case as an act of terrorism.
People in this country or people in foreign?
Sorry?
Were they in telephonic communication with people here in the U.S. or elsewhere?
We know they were in telephonic conversations with people here in the U.S. I am not aware of all the overseas connections yet. We're working with our foreign partners on that. Yes, ma'am. I can only hear one at a time, guys.
The family and their lawyers question the veracity of the terrorist connections. Is there anything there was happening about?
They question the veracity of their locations. Okay, so yes, yeah, good question. Yesterday, I said to you, the FBI is an organization that is apolitical. We are a fact-finding organization and we deal in facts. I don't have all those facts yet, so I don't know the answer to the question you just asked me.
Can you tell us about the weapons? Has claimed responsibility. Do you have anything on this?
Not unusual that they would.
That's their official website where they post all their videos. They've claimed responsibility.
I'm not surprised. I've not heard of that yet, but I'm not surprised if they would claim. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But again, it only helps them to be able to attach themselves to an act like this. I don't know the answer.
Do you have any comment on the rifles? Is someone detained that gave them the rifles?
There is a person we don't know. Okay, let me go back on that one. There's some differentiations there. There is a person that we know of their location who purchased those weapons, but I'm going to let ATF answer the questions on the guns because that's what they're here to do.
In custody?
Person is not under arrest at this point.
So they are in custody, in question?
They're not under arrest at this point.
Why do you think they stopped shooting?
I don't know the answer.
Was that Facebook post, did they pledge allegiance to either ISIS or Baghdadi or any other principle connected specifically with any known terror organization?
I'm aware of the Facebook post you're mentioning, and I saw the same thing you did. We don't know what's there yet. We're still continuing to look into that.
Mark Zuckerberg confirms that post had been made, and
yes,
that it had been made just as the attack had been started.
I know it was in a general timeline where that post was made, and yes, there was a Pledge of Allegiance.
About the dynamic of the marriage. There's a lot of curiosity there, and some people are saying that perhaps the wife may have influenced him. Can you give us any more insight?
I've been asked that, and I don't know the answer, whether she influenced him or not. Being a husband myself, we're all influenced to an extent, but I don't know the answer.
But if what you've learned about her, has that influenced your belief, but more so that this was an act of terrorism as you learn more about her?
We're investigating it as an act of terrorism for good reason.
What about have you found any manifesto?
Pardon me?
Have the FBI known of her, aware of her before? Has she been under investigation prior to this?
We did not have her under investigation previously. I'm going to take 3 more questions and then I'm going to end it. Yes, sir.
They were under the radar.
The telephones were found near the center or near the townhouse?
I believe they were found near the townhouse.
Are you concerned that they were flying under the radar?
Pardon me?
Are you concerned that they were flying under the radar? That you didn't know that they were active?
Well, of course I'm concerned. Any one of us would love to have stopped this act. When you go into a crime scene like that, it's one of the most heinous things you'll ever see. It's horrific.
That you had no awareness that you weren't tracking them, that they weren't on your radar?
Of course I'm concerned. We didn't know. There's nothing that we've seen yet that would have triggered us to know.
The government's spending so much
Yes, ma'am.
money on surveillance.
The existence of a cell?
Pardon me?
The existence of
We don't know. What I can tell you is we are not aware of any further threats in the U.S. at this time. And I want to go back to your point, ma'am. You said the government spends a lot of money on surveillance. We are also, the FBI is also a federal law enforcement agency that is bound by federal law, so we don't do wide-sweeping, massive surveillance without legal process. Next question. Last question. Yes, ma'am.
Speak to this community who is now listening to this transition that this is indeed an act of terror. What, in practical terms, does that mean for them?
So what I would say, first of all, I think this community, I'm going to leave that to the chief and the sheriff to deal with and talk about. They are the true protectors of this community. I would say to this community, you've been incredibly resilient. We are with you. We stand by you. We are focused. The FBI's #1 mandate is to protect the homeland from attack, and we will absolutely engage whenever we see potential threats. As the director has said many times, we have a number of terrorism investigations across the country currently that are going on. That does include extensive surveillance. So what I would tell the community, to answer your question completely, is I would tell them, continue to do what you do. If you see things that are concerning, push them up to local law enforcement immediately. If they rise to a certain level, or if you want to push it to both the FBI and local law enforcement, feel free to do that. These are your protectors. But do as you do normally. Go about your day. Do not let this cause mass hysteria. We're not there. We're not there at all. We have a long-term, very complex investigation that we have to complete. And that's going to take time and a lot of energy and a lot of hours and a lot of agency expertise. But I assure the American public, we will do everything in our power within the law to get that done. Thank you for your time. Next, I would like to introduce Sheriff John McMahon.
Thank you, Dave. Very good question, and that's why we're here today. My primary responsibility and the primary responsibility of the law enforcement leaders you see behind me is to ensure the safety of the public that we serve. You've already heard there's apparently evidence to suggest that there's a terrorist connection to this event. We have no known credible threats to the communities that we serve. I would ask that the community remain vigilant. Don't hesitate to report any suspicious activity to the local law enforcement. We have added additional resources, as had my partners from law enforcement that stand behind me, to ensure that we have the staff necessary to investigate and to protect the communities that we serve. We have nothing to suggest there's anything additional associated with this event, but we remain partnered up with the law enforcement from the FBI, ATF, Homeland Security, and that if any threats come about that appear to be credible or not, we will fully investigate those to help ensure that the public that we serve is absolutely safe. I will echo what Dave Bowditch suggested, that this is a team effort. We all have to work together as a team to address situations of this magnitude. We remain committed to working with the FBI, our local partners, as well as our federal partners, to ensure that the resources that are needed are applied to make sure we investigate everything possible and keep the citizens that we serve safe. Thank you.
Sheriff, isn't the concern, though, that there was no credible threat or known credible threat in advance, and then this occurred, and so now we're back into an environment where there's no known credible threat, and could San Bernardino or any other town in the country be facing the same kind of thing happening an hour from now?
Certainly that's the possibility. But crimes across our county and across our state oftentimes occur without any notice. You saw how the men and women of this law enforcement agency, as well as the partners that we work with in our region, performed 2 days ago. Considering how they performed and addressed the issue, I truly believe that we are prepared to deal with whatever threat or incident occurs. Law enforcement is staffed up, as I suggested. Our local law enforcement leaders remain in constant contact with one another. And as I suggested, my top priority, as well as those that stand behind me, is the safety of the public that we serve. Thank you.
Can we talk to the ATF about those guns? Was